Welcome back to Northwest Elite Spirit, the channel you come to train your mind, body, and spirit. I'm Coach Brian, and today I'm going to share with you some hip stretches. How this developed was I put out the word on my Facebook group, which you can feel free to join, that I wanted some ideas for some helpful videos for people in that group. And a good ultra runner friend of mine responded that he would like some hip stretches because all he knows is the 90-90 stretch, which we'll share with you later, but we're going to start with some standing stretches, and before that we're going to go into some easy hip warm-ups. Man, I'm really happy that my friend suggested hip stretches for this video, because now that I've done them, I really feel like I needed them, and I'm feeling like really loose and really ready to move. So thank you, friend, that I wanted some ideas for some helpful videos for people in that group. And a good ultra runner friend of mine responded that he would like some hip stretches because all he knows is the 90-90 stretch, which we'll share with you later, but we're going to start with some standing stretches, and before that we're going to go into some easy hip warm-ups. So a nice and easy hip warm-up that I like to do is torso rotations, and we're just going to bring our fists together, bring our elbows and forearms parallel to the ground, and twist back and forth. We're going to do that about 20 times. For hip rotations, you can keep your knees and both feet planted and facing forward to where you're going like this. If you have knee issues though, you may end up feeling a little tension around your knees, and that's where the twisting of the foot comes in. It relieves some of that tension around your knees and allows you to do this more comfortably. Next one is you're just going to reach for your feet 20 times. 2 is 1, so that'd be 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 20. Next ones are going to be, you can call hip gyrations. If you've watched the movie Kung Fu Hustle, you'll have the 2 landlords, and you'll have the male landlord, the man, who's got like a secret kung fu where he's really flexible in his hips and other parts of his body, but you'll see him moving his hips in this fashion. And what we're going to do is we're going to imagine a pole coming down from the ceiling through our center down into the floor, and we're going to imagine rotating our hips around that pole 20 times in one direction and 20 times in the other direction. For all of these stretches, we're going to imagine a spot 2 inches or 3 finger lengths below our belly button and 2 or 3 inches inside of our abdomen, and that's where we're going to imagine holding our weight. So when we're jaying our hips forward or when we're dropping our weight down, we're doing it from that area. Now that we're warmed up, we're going to get into some of the stretches. We're going to begin with standing stretches, and this is a stretch that we all already know and love. You can do it from here with your feet shoulder width apart. You can do it from here with your feet together, or you can cross your feet, and we're just going to reach up and do that reach towards the toes in bending over. For an extra stretch, you can push here, and you can really begin to feel that in your hip over here. If you want a little more pressure, you can make a fist, or you can take your fingers, you can do your fingers blunt or pointed and get even more pressure. You're not pushing, you're just relaxing that shoulder muscle and letting that arm hinge down into your hip. And you can do the same on the other side. And again, you can do shoulder width, you can do feet together, or you can do crossed feet. For an even more intense stretch, I have a series of arm stretches or shoulder stretches that I do, but there's a hip stretch that I've worked into this. Over your shoulder, and you put your arm or your wrist over it like this. And I'm going to bend it to the front, and I'm going to either be shoulder width apart or feet together. And I'm just going to let this arm, without trying, just kind of relax down to the floor. And that's going to put some extra stretch on my hip. Not just on my hip, but all the way down to my toes, all the way up my rib cage, all the way up the chain, into my shoulder. We're going to do the other side. Again, just putting your wrist up over the bar, feet together, hand out on the end, and relaxing that arm down to the floor without any pressure. Even here, relaxing my hip and just kind of bowing out to the side. And if you want to get even more intense, you can move around and explore it a little bit. If you don't have great balance, this is another way you can do this and still get a pretty intense stretch. Just place your feet next to a door frame and grab the door frame and relax your hip out and away. And that'll give you a really good stretch without having to worry about falling over. And we can repeat that on the other side. And if you're anything like me, my right hip is tighter than my left hip, so you may have one side that's tighter than the other, and feel free to take as much time as you need to get the relief that you need in that area. Another stretch that we all know and love is just reaching up to the sky and bending down, touching your toes, touching the floor. If you can't go that far, you can touch your knees. If you're really flexible, you can grab behind. Hold this for about 20 count. And then once you've reached that 20 count, you can begin to explore another angle. I don't really hold here. I go back and forth a little bit. When I come up out of this, I like to bend my knees a little bit and come up out of it rather than putting that strain on my back and just coming right up on a hinge. Another one, I don't know if people know that this is a hip stretch, but it's the flamingo. Grabbing my foot and jaying my hips forward and up to the ceiling. Same thing on the other side. Maybe if you're into yoga, you can throw some yoga in there. Again, like this is not something, you don't have to do all of these stretches. These are just some options for you. So you're going to step out to the side. You may only be able to come to here. You may be able to come to here, you may be able to go to the floor. Any of them are good for you. Hold for about 20 count. Breathing. Coming up, going to the other side, and doing it on that side. guess we can go to the floor, right? Here we have another simple one that we all know. Going into a horse stance, you can get very wide, straight frame, dropping down, and really feeling that in the hip. You can go into the prayer and use your elbows to push your knees apart and get further down into that. Now we're going to take it down to the floor. Step forward. You can keep your knee up off the ground, and it's that J again, where you're J'ing your hips, you're bringing them forward and up. Or you can drop it down to the floor. It's the same thing, you're J'ing your hips forward and up. Again, holding for about the count of 20. You can drop down after that and get a little bit more of a stretch. You can even, I'm going to turn away from the camera here, drop down and get another angle. We'll go to the other side, do the same thing. Again, we can go on our feet, J'ing the hips, or we can go down to the knee, J'ing the hips. We can go down further, driving that hip again forward and up. And we can hit that last angle. An easier alternative for that one would be to just have one foot on the ground, thigh parallel to the floor, knee grounded. And again, J'ing those hips to the ceiling. You can take your opposite hand and put it up. Almost like I call it the waiter. Like you're like a waiter holding some dishes. And this one, if you're tight along this side, you can feel this one from your knee all the way up to your fingertips. And how I like to put a spin on this one is to kick that leg off to the side and get sideways. Again, holding for about 20 seconds. And we'll do the other side. Going to the waiter, J'ing those hips to the sky, forward and to the sky. Holding for 20 count. And then coming off to the side. Again, holding for a 20 count. Another great hip stretch is pigeon pose. This is actually one of my favorites, and how I was able to get a lot of the tightness out of my hips was discovering this one. So you can start here where we were earlier, and you just drop your knee to the floor, back leg is straight, and you are initially coming up. I like to arch my back, give a little pressure here at the knee and the ankle, hold for about the count of 20, and then you can drop down. Imagine your shoulder here, and your other shoulder on your ankle, one shoulder on your knee, one shoulder on your ankle. And relaxing down. You don't have to fight anything here or force anything. You just relax down. You don't have to fight anything here or force anything. You can just relax. Same thing on the other side. Starting off in that waiter pose, dropping that knee to the floor, and starting with the, and we're going to hold that for about a 20 count. Man, my hips are getting super loose just doing this. And my hips are Same thing on the other side. We're dropping down into what I call waiter pose. Dropping that knee to the floor. Straightening out that back leg. And arching our back. Pushing, driving those hips forward. Holding for about 20 seconds and then dropping down. Matching our shoulder to our ankle and our other shoulder to our knee. And just relaxing without any force. Holding for about 20 seconds or the count of 20. Come up out of that. Alright, look at the next one. Next is butterfly stretch. Now you can flap your legs like a butterfly. You can put your elbows just above your knee and put some pressure down and just lean forward a little bit. Again, this isn't one that we have to force. We can gently relax forward to put that pressure in there. That's enough pressure there, and if we relax, we might find that we're able to get more of a stretch than we would if we tried to force this. From there, we can go easily into the seated forward bend. Just feet out, or legs out straight in front of us, and bend, hinging over from the hips. This seems a lot like the standing forward bend, but you actually get a different feel from this. Here, I like to, again, relax forward, and I don't grab and pull. I just kind of place my hands beyond my feet, and then I hinge and relax down. This is another one that you may feel from the tips of your toes all the way up into your lower back. We have the figure four stretch, another great stretch that I learned long time ago and have always loved. You're going to take your right foot, place it on your right knee, and just bring your knee to your chest. And again, like this looks like I'm pulling, but what I'm really doing is I'm bringing my knee close, and then I'm relaxing everything down. I'm more holding my knee in place and then relaxing everything down and letting everything just kind of sink into place. And that's a really nice stretch. Again, we're holding this for about 20. Again, we're holding this for about 20 seconds. Or dang it, I keep saying the same thing. Again, we're holding this for about 20 count. Other side, same thing. Left ankle on right knee. Bringing the knee to the chest. Grabbing, holding, and then just relaxing everything into place. Holding for a 20 count. Again, no force, and everything will fall into place. So now we're going to go into the 90-90 stretch, which is the only stretch my friend said he knows and why he needs some help with his hips. So it's pretty easy. We're just going to go into 90 degrees and 90 degrees. Keeping our frame upright, and we can lean forward. Hold that for as long as you need to. I don't really feel anything here, so I'm going to relax over to my right a little bit, and now I'm starting to feel a bit of a stretch there in my hip, holding that for a 20 count. From here, we can bring our foot to our knee, or we can keep it where we're at, and we can rotate our trunk around using that knee as a brace and feeling more of a stretch on the opposite side from where we were just feeling it. Holding for a 20 count, and for even more of a stretch, we can bring the right foot next to the left knee and using that right knee for leverage with our right elbow, holding for a 20 count. And here I like to explore a little bit, maybe drop my chest to the floor a little bit, and I could feel a little bit more of a stretch in my left hip here. I'm gonna go to the other side. Oh, there's a lot of relief in that left hip, more than I thought before I started moving. Again, 90 degrees, trunk erect. I'm searching for some relief here. Right here, I don't feel anything at all, no pressure. I'm gonna come to the side a little bit, and now I'm starting to feel it. Holding for a 20 count. Gonna bring that right knee to the left knee, or going to bring that right heel to the left knee, or you can leave it where it's at. Hand next to knee, left hand next to right knee for leverage. And twist. Holding for 20. Bringing that left foot to the right knee. Using that knee for leverage. Again, it's just leverage. There's not like a lot of pushing. It's just getting everything in place and then relaxing in place. And again here, start to search a little bit. Move around, wiggle around.